Alright guys, here it is. So this is going to be the first review out of that batch of crankbaits that I just picked up out of that tackle warehouse order. So the first square bill crankbait review that we're going to do is on this Backstabber square bill crankbait. A lot of features to go over on this bait, a lot of little different things that you may or may not already be aware of. So let's go ahead and take a good look at them. Alright guys, so if you guys go to Backstabber's website, you'll see that they list these just as stabbers. They don't call them square bill crankbaits, they call them 0 to 4 foot stabbers because they have 8 to 12 foot stabbers and 14 to 18 foot stabbers, and the 0 to 4 foot stabber just happens to be a square bill crankbait. So in the interest of the review, we'll just call this the 0 to 4 foot or the square bill, but it's a square bill crankbait. So let's go ahead and talk about the dimensions in the 0 to 4 foot square bill crankbait. It has a length of 2.5 inches and a weight of 1/2 ounce. And as the name suggests, it dives 0 to 4 feet, and it is a floater. It's a floating square bill crankbait. I want you to remember that because there's something that I'm going to bring up towards the end of the review about that. So let me go ahead and, since I always forget to do this, let's go ahead and get this measurement out of the way. If you measure from the very tip, using the, or not using the ring, it's about 2 3/8 of an inch. And then if you use both rings, it's about 2.5. And then if you use the bill, it's and going to the last ring, it's about 2 3/4 of an inch. So it's that size that I actually really like. You can see that here's that 1.5 in the KVD to kind of give you a size comparison of the two crankbaits, just to give you an idea of what they look like side by side. Let me focus on these a little bit better. So you can see that that size is it's that 1.5 size essentially. So a lot of different features of this bait. One of the things that I like about them are these swivels. They seem to be using some kind of an anodized swivel or a black nickel plated swivel or something like that on there. Seems to be very high quality. The hooks are made by VMC. They seem to be very strong. But one thing that you probably haven't noticed, I know it was something that I really didn't pay attention to when I bought them, is that they have these 360-degree swivels molded into the body of the bait, on not only on the top of the bait, but on the rear of the bait. Now, obviously, being that this is the Backstabber, you'll see that this hook is located on the back instead of the bottom. That's kind of their little deal that they do. This company likes to mount these hooks on the back. They say that they hang up a lot less, but most importantly, and I think much more than just less hang-ups, which I don't. This is just my opinion. I think it's less. I don't know if it lets you hang up any less than a hook that's mounted on the bottom, because the way that a square bill crankbait runs is that when it runs into structure, it peels over the top of it. So if you look at the KVD, when it runs, this thing runs over the top of it, and that hook will miss it. So it's hunting like that, and it goes like that. So I don't really think, I think that as far as the square bill crankbait is concerned, because normally you're running it into wood and stuff like that, I think that's a problem that probably doesn't need to be addressed. However, the other part that the top hook actually does good for, and it actually says it right on the box, is that it's going to help you hook the fish in the roof of the mouth. That I find to be very true, because when a fish will bite this, they'll usually bite it from the side when they're getting that top hook, unless they're trailing it, and then you're not going to get that top hook at all. But what's going to happen is they're going to bite it, and this is going to get into that hard cartilage on the roof of the mouth instead of that softer part that's in the bottom lip. So it's just going to be harder for them to throw it. And these swivels, actually, I really like this idea of these swivels being molded into the bait. I think they work very, very well. It makes it harder for the fish to gain any kind of leverage on the bait, because the way that they fight and they turn, the split rings will only offer so much movement before the bait actually starts to turn, but the swivels let them turn 360 degrees, and they're on both hooks. And I actually, when I caught a fish on this one, I caught him on the trailer. I felt like I could almost feel that there was no resistance like it wasn't pulling on the bait. Now this just could have been me being tuning into the idea of that swivel being there. I don't know, but it just seemed to, because I hooked him in the bottom lip with the trailer hook, and it wasn't going anywhere. So I really do like this idea. I personally think that the swivels could have been better. It just looks like a regular standard swivel, a barrel swivel on the top. It's not a ball bearing swivel, which would have been nicer for them to use. But be that as it is, they're using what they claim to be 50-pound swivels, so they should be more than adequate for strength. So one problem that I ran into with this crankbait right here, obviously it's brand new, and you probably already saw that you can see this swivel. Let me focus in on it so you guys can get a really good look at it. You can see that swivel is coming loose. And that's no good. We don't want that, because that swivel, if that thing comes loose, then you're basically going to be out of luck for the bait, because you're going to have just a trailer hook on it, and you really want to have both hooks. So that's an issue that I ran into. I contacted the owner of the company, and that's something that he's going to address. And they seem to be very understanding about it. And here's the other one that I got, and it didn't have that issue at all. If you remember, I told you at the beginning of this video that I said that these were floating. They definitely are floating baits, and I believe that this is the other problem that contributed. I had another problem that could have probably happened from this swivel, but this lure sinks like a rock. So, and it could be because of this swivel, because of how it moves in there. But I didn't notice any water getting in here at all. I shook it. You can see there's no water coming out of here at all. So just something to think about, something to look at. But the baits are actually very, very, very nice. You'll see that they have these the etched scale patterns. You can see it says Backstabber 0 to 4 foot. Raised gill plates, very, very nice. Holographic three-dimensional eyes. It's a very high quality bait, and you're not paying $15 for it. I mean, some places you're going to pay $15 for it, but it is actually very, very nice. It reminds me of the old Rick Clun Lucky Crafts, or the new Amori Lucky Crafts, which are essentially the same crankbait, but they're very, very nice. So, and you can see that it's got this ballast ball right here, but it's also got a rattle in it, and the two rattles are right here in this chamber, and they're made out of some kind of a metal, looks like steel. And then it's got another ball towards the front right here in this chamber. So a lot of noise happening here. They have to weight this thing a little differently, just because of the fact that it has this top hook. Now here's something else that I want to bring up, that this one actually does float. It works correctly. When this one floats and it's sitting at the top of the water, because of this hook being, I mean, if it were to sit here, then it wouldn't have that problem, but it's going to be sitting here and here. So what you're going to run into, which isn't necessarily a problem, it's just going to be the way that it sits on top of the water when you're not using it, when it's floating. It's going to be kind of pulled off to the side because of that top hook. Whichever way that this hook is lying, it's going to kind of lay on that side. But as soon as you start pulling it through the water, it straightens itself out. Now, as with some crankbaits, they're going to require tuning right out of the box. You can see that I said some, not all. Some crankbaits require some tuning out of the box. You may have to crank or tune this crankbait, but that's not a deal breaker for me. So anyway, I've got two colors here. I want to go over with them. They're actually very, very nice paint jobs on here. This first one that I want to go over with you is just like a ghost minnow color. They call it Ghost Stabber, and it's just got that greenish brown on the top, and it's got kind of like a pearl transparent belly on it. So there's the Ghost Stabber. The next one I want to go over with you is the honey mustard craw. I was pretty successful with this lure when I was actually cranking it really, really fast. I really wish that it didn't have this problem on the top, because I actually really like this lure and I like the paint on it a lot. You can see this one's got a red sclera on the eye, but it's the same, the pattern on the eye is exactly the same. See, it's got an orange belly on it, and it's got kind of a muddy green brown back and just an orange yellow side. It's just looks like a crawdad, I suppose. But there it is. This is a honey mustard craw. Very nice paint job, you guys. There were a couple of things I wanted to make sure I went over, so I took a couple notes this time. The other thing I want to go over with you is the hooks on this thing. First of all, you can see that there are two different size hooks on here. This top hook is smaller than the rear hook. I did find that probably about every fifth, maybe every seventh cast or so, you can see that these hooks get tangled up. Now, not all hooks are like that. You can see that the KVDs, they don't hang up on themselves like that, and most square bills don't hang up on themselves like that. But these ones, they will hang up on themselves if you're not watching it. So if you feel like you're dragging a rock through the water, more than likely you got these things hung up on themselves, because it will affect the way that it swims. So just something else to look out for. But it is a very, very nice crankbait, you guys. I really like the idea. There's a couple little minor things, minor, major, whatever, but there are some issues that need to be worked out with this crankbait. It's got a great idea, something that you've never seen before, or maybe you have, but I haven't really seen the swivels molded into the body. I really like the idea there. Probably need some more research and development, but it's a nice crankbait, you guys. So make sure you guys check these things out. Backstabber Lures, 0 to 4 foot square bill crankbait. We will be doing another crankbait review next week. Go ahead and comment below and tell me which one you guys want to see, and we'll probably see it next week. But I think we're going to do the 6th Sense crankbait next week. So make sure you guys like the video for me. I really appreciate that, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.